Quote, I'm well aware, as anyone who has seen Trevor Aronson's book, The Terror Factory, Inside the FBI's Manufactured War on Terrorism, that a large percentage of the persons, mostly Muslims, being convicted would not have ever committed any crime if not pushed to do so by FBI informants, and undercovers by some smaller percentage might have. Ironically and counterproductively, the United States military cannot have the global war on terror be seen as a war against Muslims, but the FBI and other homeland security agencies are doing precisely that, waging a war on Muslims, as it really is the only way they can participate and effectively justify their share of the burgeoning war budget. This has nothing to do with reducing the level of terrorism, as the United States and NATO initially supported the foreign jihadists fighting to topple the Syrian government. In other words, they never considered that some of the jihadists would return home and turn against their home countries. But that is the same when the United States ended up creating the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, and now ISIS, and the same as when Israel created Hamas. The use of terrorist proxy forces, divide and conquer tactics, etc., is all about the effective manipulation in order for the United States to achieve its stated goal of full spectrum dominance over the world. Unquote. Colleen Rowley, former FBI 2002 Person Times of the Year and whistleblower. Recently, the National Lawyers Guild of Minnesota stated this: our hearts are sad tonight, this is June 3rd, because 3 young men who never actually hurt a soul were convicted of serious crimes they didn't commit. They are scapegoats for the excuse the United States needs to continue a permanent war state. Conspiracy to commit murder outside the United States is the crime that the United States should be charged with, not 3 young men who never even left Hennepin County. Pope Francis recently said, the deeper question is why there are so many migrants now. This is in part the initial problems of the wars in the Middle East and in Africa. Coming back to the migrant issue, the worst form of welcome is to ghettoize them. On the contrary, it's necessary to integrate them. Today, I don't think there's a fear of Islam as much as such, but of ISIS and its war of conquest, which is partly drawn from Islam. It's true that the idea of conquest is inherent in the soul of Islam. However, it's also possible to interpret the objective of Matthew's gospel, where Jesus sends his disciples into all nations, in terms of the same idea of conquest. Christians and Muslims used to live together and must learn to do so again. We are all equal sons and daughters of God, and with our personal dignity, however, everyone must have the freedom to externalize his or her own faith. If a Muslim woman wishes to wear a veil, she must be able to do so. Similarly, if a Catholic wishes to wear a cross, people must be free to profess their faith at the heart of their own culture, not merely at its margins. What are either of you doing to change the hostile local environment whereby my local Somali friends are not able to shop locally in the grocery stores for fear of harassment? And I have one other question I'd like to pose to you. You state you're interested in taxes and saving this county residents' taxes. What are you personally doing to encourage Camp Ripley to get out of a state of non-compliance, apply for their 2 demolition permits that they have not done since January 1 of 2016, which puts them in violation of the very environmental laws that are implemented here locally to protect yours, mine, and all these people's water and air quality? So what are you doing personally to prod them outside of the lawsuit that had to be filed here by Morrison County Commissioners? What are you doing to prod them to get them to comply? Thank you.
Rob, I know you're very passionate about many of these issues. I have, I don't have anything directly that I'm doing. I mean, I'm certainly not creating a hostile environment. You don't see me out there pushing people away. I believe if you're a citizen and you have the rights of the Constitution, you should be able to exercise those. As far as being directly involved in Camp Ripley, that's not for my office to decide. I know Morrison County has had some issues there, but people like you, and if you want to continue to be passionate, that's awesome. That's helping the community. I have a whole slate of other things that I'm working on, and I'm one person. I can't do it all.
As far as the local level, between Camp Ripley and Morrison County, I do my best not to meddle if I think it's a local issue that has to be worked out. If either side asks me to get involved, then I will put my oar in the water, but even then, it's to help the two local partners figure it out. It's never an easy situation, but I want local control over lots of different things. And the more the state or the federal government gets involved, the less excited I get about it. But if I can help as a third party to have dialogue, certainly I'm open to doing that. And some of your questions too, they're much bigger, much broader, much more complicated. As far as our military, it's a federal issue, but I think our budget, military budget right now is way too low. I think the word you used was burgeoning, and I think it's the opposite of that. Just talking to some of my relatives that are in the armed forces, they would disagree with that. And Islamic terrorism is not every Muslim. It's a very difficult, complex issue, but I absolutely support the FBI having informants, and when somebody is on a mission to do things in the name of Islam that many Muslims would disagree with, but when they're going to do it in the name of Islam, we should have people that are aware of that and apprehend them before they go down that path. And the whole issue of refugee resettlement is complicated. We talked about it last time I was here, I believe, and my hope is that moving forward with a new president, we will help settle refugees in or near the country that they're from, and we'll help pay for that. Most refugees would prefer that if they had the option, and so that's the direction that I would like to go. I'd like to see our federal government go. On an individual basis, I'm called to love the person in front of me. No matter whether I disagree, that is my command as a Christian, or Christ's command to me as a Christian is to love my neighbor no matter who they are, to love my enemy no matter who they are. But that doesn't mean that every public policy is mine to make. So I know that's a long, roundabout question, but it was a more complicated question that you gave.
Well, my question was actually, what have you done to help neutralize the negative, hostile climate here locally? And I don't think either one of you answered that question at all.
Yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Me too.
Okay. Next question, please.